My name is Mara Ellison, and I was 34 years old when I lost the woman who had been my true parent in every way that mattered, my grandmother. Evelyn Shaw was the one who taught me life's most valuable lessons. She showed me how to manage money responsibly, mend torn clothes instead of replacing them, and understand that real love is measured by the people who continue to stand beside you when life becomes difficult. At her funeral, I reserved 2 seats in the front row for my parents. They never came. Only 3 hours after we laid Grandma to rest, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was a photo of my mother and father relaxing on a beach in Aruba. My mother, Celeste, smiled into the camera while holding a tropical drink beneath the caption, "Living our best life." Before I could even process the picture, another message appeared. It came from my grandmother's phone. "Come to the house now, sweetheart." I had watched Evelyn take her last breath only 4 days earlier, despite knowing she was gone. I got into my car and drove there anyway. When I arrived, her attorney, Martin Hale, was waiting at the kitchen table. Grandma's phone rested beside an old sewing box that had always been one of her favorite possessions. Martin immediately apologized for alarming me. He explained that Grandma had specifically instructed him to contact me using her phone after her passing because she knew I would never ignore a message from her. Inside the sewing box were several bank statements, a blue notebook, and a durable power of attorney naming my mother as Evelyn's financial representative. Martin looked at me seriously. "Your grandmother believed Celeste was stealing from her," he said quietly. Then he added, "She trusted you to uncover the truth." That was exactly what I did for a living. As a financial auditor, I specialized in tracking missing funds, uncovering accounting irregularities, and rebuilding financial records that others believed were impossible to understand. That evening, after Daniel had gone upstairs to bed, I spread every document across our dining room table and began reading. At first, Grandma's notebook resembled the journal of a woman battling illness. Mara brought me soup today. Treatment was exhausting. Couldn't even finish a piece of toast. But after several pages, everything changed. One entry read, "Celeste says I spent $600. I know I didn't." The next pages became increasingly detailed. $400 withdrawn on the 9th. $3,000 transferred on the 17th. $11,000 missing before the end of the month. Then one sentence stopped me completely. "She believes I'm too confused to count. I may be weak, but I'm not foolish." Every handwritten note matched a transaction listed on the accompanying bank statements, little by little. My mother had been transferring Evelyn's money into an account located in Florida while controlling her mail, paying her bills, and managing every aspect of her banking. Then I discovered something even worse. Written on the back of an old prescription slip was the account number for a certificate of deposit. My grandmother had built over nearly 40 years. That account had been emptied as well. When I calculated everything, the missing amount totaled $465,000. Before taking legal action, I decided to give my mother one opportunity to explain. I called her. The moment I asked about the transfers, she laughed. "You were always Evelyn's charity case," she said. "I was her daughter. Everything she owned belonged to me anyway." Then she ended the call. Martin introduced me to elder law attorney Priya Desai. After reviewing every document, Priya explained something that changed everything. "A power of attorney doesn't make someone the owner of another person's money," she said. "It creates a legal duty. Your mother was required to use Evelyn's finances only for Evelyn's benefit." She explained that we could ask the court to require a complete accounting of every dollar. If Celeste couldn't justify the transfers, the consequences wouldn't simply be financial. The case could become criminal. Before I left her office, Priya looked directly at me. "You need to understand something," she said. "If we move forward, your mother could end up serving prison time." That night, I felt like I was 9 years old again. I remembered standing backstage after a school performance, searching the audience for parents who never arrived. I remembered every lesson that had taught me to stay quiet, Avoid conflict. Be thankful for whatever scraps of attention I received. And never create problems. Then I opened Grandma's notebook one last time. On the final page, she had written only one sentence. Showing up is everything, sweetheart. For the first time, I truly understood what she meant. Showing up didn't mean silently accepting betrayal. It meant protecting the people you loved. When they no longer had the strength to protect themselves, the following morning, I called Priya. File the case, I said. Once Celeste realized we were serious, her attitude changed repeatedly. She threatened me. Then she cried. Finally, just before the hearing, her attorney offered a settlement. They promised to return part of the missing money and transfer ownership of Grandma's house to me if I agreed to withdraw the complaint and remain silent. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Celeste reached for my hand. Take the house, sweetheart, she pleaded. You'll still have your mother. The word sweetheart belonged to Grandma. Hearing my mother use it felt like she was stealing one final piece of Evelyn from me. I gently pulled my hand away. No, I answered. Inside the courtroom, Priya carefully presented Grandma's handwritten notebook beside the bank records. Every diary entry matched a specific withdrawal. Every missing dollar had a corresponding transaction. Celeste's attorney claimed the transfers were simply reimbursement for caregiving expenses, but there were no receipts, no written agreements, no invoices, no evidence. The judge examined every page carefully. Then I read one of Grandma's journal entries aloud. I am weak, not foolish. Those words echoed through the courtroom before the hearing ended. I explained exactly what I intended to do if every dollar was recovered. I will use every cent to help elderly people who have no one left to care for them. At that moment, Celeste suddenly stood. It was my money, she shouted. I earned it by putting up with that old woman. The courtroom fell completely silent. She had destroyed her own defense. The judge ordered full repayment of every stolen dollar, awarded additional damages because of her deliberate misconduct, and referred the case for criminal prosecution involving felony elder, financial exploitation, eventually. Celeste accepted a plea agreement and served time. My father testified against her in exchange for probation. Many relatives who had cared more about inheritance than justice quietly disappeared from my life afterward. I never kept any of the recovered money. Instead, I established the Evelyn Shaw Fund, a non-profit organization that helps isolated seniors by paying for transportation to medical appointments, in-home caregivers, and volunteers who simply spend time with elderly people who would otherwise be alone. Grandma's home was transformed into a welcoming residence for vulnerable seniors needing safety, support, and companionship. On the day we officially opened its doors, Daniel, our daughter Lily, and I sat together on the front porch. I had replaced the burned-out porch light that Grandma had never gotten around to fixing as evening arrived. It glowed warmly above the doorway. Lily looked up at me and asked, "Why do you always leave the porch light on?" I smiled. So that everyone who comes here knows someone is expecting them. Years ago, my mother called me a charity case. She meant it as an insult. Looking back, she wasn't entirely wrong. I was raised by the greatest act of kindness I have ever known, a woman who showed up every single time, stayed when everyone else walked away, and loved without expecting anything in return. Whenever my parents left another chair empty, Evelyn filled it with her presence, and when the day came that her own chair stood empty, I finally found the strength to stand on my own.